time fog up, yeah.
Good morning, everybody. At 10 a.m., we're going to call to order the Board of Commissioners meeting for April 7th. Would you please rise if you're able for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, so for today, we have the opportunity for citizens, and we hope this grows over the next few weeks, that they're able to utilize our teleconference feature to call into our commissioners' meetings if they'd like to offer public comment. And just to reiterate that we have it on the record, essentially what people would do is they would dial 814-699-8580 and enter the conference ID, which we have as 1382535, and press the pound key. Once they do that, all callers will be muted automatically. And to participate in public comment, they simply have to do a *5 on their phone, and their call will be muted. But when they would like to ask a question, they just basically hit *5. We'll see it on the computer screen, and we'll be able to recognize them, unmute them, and they can offer public comment. And as always, they'll be given 5 minutes for public comment. And after they offer the comment, they would be muted again. We also have the capability of being live streamed on CNET with Channel 7, and we also are on YouTube at youtube.com/CNET Center County. And you can watch our live feed there. So we just wanted to reiterate all that information, and again, that is to help us to limit access at our 146 room the day of the meeting to 10 people or less. And that gives us the opportunity to do the social distancing that's being recommended by the CDC and the Pennsylvania Department of Health as well. So with that, we will turn to our teleconference to see if anybody has any public comment at this time for items not appearing on today's agenda. All right, so nobody is raising their hands. We'll give it a few seconds here. Okay, nobody is looking to offer public comment. So we will again look for the opportunity as each item is under consideration. We would then move to our meeting minutes from our last two meetings on the 26th and 31st of March. Would there be a motion to approve those meetings?
Motion to approve the meeting minutes from March 26th and March 31st.
I will second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion on the minutes? Hearing none and seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion has carried. Okay. So we have two proclamations today. The first one is proclaiming April 2020 as Child Abuse Prevention Month. And we typically will have some of our staff and our partners that work on this important issue. But we wanted to note as well that during this crisis, with many families staying home, it is especially important to recognize that in times of stress, people may react in ways that they normally would not. And due to schools and daycares being closed, a large number of our mandated reporters are not having the regular contact with children and our families, and they're experiencing a lack of structure and routine. And it's so very, very important to remember that the safety of our children depends on both mandated and non-mandated reporters. And we wanted to highlight that although the abuse numbers last year declined a little bit from previous years, we wanted to note that that might have been attributed to some of the changes that went into effect that now allow for Child Protective Service referrals to be reevaluated. And that has put more of a burden on our staff, but they're doing such a great job. But we are very fortunate, so fortunate to have a wide array of educational and preventative programs provided throughout our community that are very effective in reducing the abuse of children in our community. And there's so many different programs and people that work tirelessly to ensure that the children in Center County are making sure that they are realizing and are being heard and believed. And this is the Child Advocacy Center and so many other organizations that are committed to protecting our kids. So we're so thankful for them. And again, with this being National County Awareness and Recognition Month, we want to thank all of our CYS employees that are on the front lines during the COVID-19 pandemic. So with that, we look to resolve and approve this proclamation.
Motion to adopt proclamation number 5 of 2020, proclaiming April as Child Abuse Prevention Month.
I will second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion on it? Hearing none and seeing none on our teleconference. All those in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried. Okay. And we'll give that to our partners with our CYS office. So our next proclamation, we would love to welcome up Bob Schweitzer to the podium. Bob, we're going to embarrass you a little bit here and make sure that we recognize you for the incredible service you've given to Center County over these last many years. So one of the things that we wanted to do in recognition of your service, really a small token of our thanks, is to look at proclaiming April 22nd as the 50th anniversary of Earth Day, not as long as you've been here at the county, 50 years, but
Close.
But close. You know, you're up there. But this would be proclaiming April 22nd of 2020 as Environmental Education Day. And one of the great things that Bob does is he leads the effort for Envirothon, and has done that for many years now. And we've seen so many Center County kids learn about science, learn about nature, learn about how they can improve this earth. And we think a lot of them are making a difference now and will in the future in our communities, our country, and our world. So that's just one of the small things that you've done, Bob, to really make a huge impact here in our community. But I know each of the commissioners has memories and fond memories of working with you, and so we'll let them all share their perspective. But we wanted to, again, embarrass you and shine the light on all the good work you've done.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead, Mark.
It's been wonderful the last couple of years to go out to your Envirothon events and see how engaged and active our young adults are in environmental issues. A lot of very interesting exhibits during the Envirothon as well. I learned a few things about Center County and the environment. So very much appreciate what you and your staff and the local educators have been doing for the environment.
Thank you.
I've had the pleasure to spend numerous hours with you on the Conservation District Board, and I will tell you that your leadership on that board, not only here locally and at the state, at the national level, through all your Envirothon efforts, has really made an impact on so many people. And I know, just looking at the alumni that have come out of the Envirothon program and the great things that they've done over the many years, it's very special. And I wish we could spend a little bit more time, kind of fawning over you. And I think at our last meeting, you promised that we could once the dust settles from this pandemic. But we really feel very strongly to honor you and honor your great works over the years. And 30 years of service to Center County has not gone unnoticed and unappreciated. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
So on September 10th of 1990, in this very room, a Board of Commissioners would have hired Bob Schweitzer, and so it's been just shy of 30 years, Bob, so it's been tremendous years of service. We have this proclamation that we're going to be celebrating Environmental Education Day, but also really truly remembering your legacy here. And so we thank you, and we'd love to give the floor to you if there's anything you'd like to impart, share, and again, once we can, in however long it takes, have an event to celebrate your retirement. So, but we'd love to offer the floor to you.
Thank you. You're right. Envirothon has been near and dear to my heart for many, many years. Managing the Conservation District has been a pleasure, but the day-to-day administrative work is maybe a little tedious at times. But so my outlet, I think, was working with the Envirothon and hopefully having an impact on the youth. And you're right. I think nationwide and even internationally, I think the Envirothon has really had an impact on helping students become motivated to learn more and do more. So that's worth it all. But I think I would like to say that celebrating Earth Day is a great way to recognize all of the important, the importance of protecting our valuable natural resources. And in addition to the Envirothon, and maybe a little bit of, these masks. It's tough to do this, but our county Envirothon is open to all of our students in any of our schools in Center County, and it's an environmental education program for high school students. The program started in Pennsylvania in 1979 and has spread all across the U.S. and Canada, and even to China. Conservation District also sponsors an annual poster contest. It's open to elementary through junior high students, and has a soil and water conservation theme, just something to get them motivated to think about the environment. I guess in closing, I just say that if anyone has any interest in environmental education, please contact the Conservation District. Our watershed specialist, Justin Kozak, would be happy to assist them in any way they can.
Bob, from growing greener to manure management plans to seedling sales, the whole gamut. The Conservation District touches the lives of a lot of people here in the county and helps our agriculture work, again, helps invest in our young people and encourages them to get involved in science in the world. So again, we thank you, and we look for a motion to do this action today.
An enthusiastic motion to adopt proclamation number 6 of 2020, proclaiming April 22nd as Environmental Education Day.
I will second that.
Okay, we moved and seconded. Any final comments on this? Any questions for Bob? Okay.
One last comment,
Please, yes,
actually.
please, yeah.
That is, as much as painful as it is to see Bob retire, and we, as we notice all his good works, it's also very important that we recognize that we have a new leader in the Conservation District, Jim Coslow, who has been with the district for quite a while. I would reckon, 20 years or better?
Actually, I started in September 1990. Jim was the first person I hired in February 1991.
Wow, so he's chasing your tail then, okay.
He is.
Well-
He's a little younger than I am, so hopefully he has a few more good years left in him.
Jim's,
But Jim's very capable.
Very capable of handling the ball that you've carried all these years, and we're looking forward to working with him and certainly working with you. I'm sure you're not going to fade into the distance too far.
No, I'm sticking around, and hopefully still be involved with the Envirothon.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Bob. Again,
Yes.
We really appreciate it.
Sure.
So we've made the motion in second. All in favor of adopting this, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Again, Bob, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're now going to jump into several items and updates about the COVID-19 planning and response. And we'll turn it over to Margaret for these items.
Okay, thank you. First item this morning is an amendment, a revision to the COVID-19 Employee Leave Directive that the Board of Commissioners passed on March 17th. And these revisions are presented to you today because of the Federal Families First Coronavirus Response Act that was recently passed and enacted effective April 1st. So Kristen Simpkins, our HR director, is here this morning, and she's going to give you a brief overview of what these revisions entail.
Yeah, please, Kristen, yeah.
Under the Families First Coronavirus Response Act, it allows for some changes to the Family Medical Leave Act, which includes now an Emergency Family Medical Leave Act provision that allows for a shorter time frame for employees to have been employed in order to get the emergency family medical leave. It allows for them to take the leave to care for their children due to schools or daycare closure, or to care for a child that, or a family member that may be affected by the coronavirus as well. We are working on provisions in the HR office. We have new forms for employees to complete so we can make sure people are getting the leave they are needed. We were ahead of the curve with getting the COVID medical leave available to our employees prior to the act being voted into effect. So we've already been providing them with sick time as required by the act under emergency paid sick leave. So we will be sending out something to department heads and employees, hopefully later today, if not first thing tomorrow, about who they need to contact for what kind of leave, what kind of pay codes they should be using to cover their time out of the office due to the COVID leave directive. So they're just the changes to comply then with the Families First Coronavirus Response Act.
Thank you, Kristen. Any questions, comments on the directive?
Glad we were ahead of the curve. Let's match the current law.
Again, this would be retroactive to April 1st. Any questions on our teleconference on this? Okay, seeing none, we'll look for a motion.
Motion to amend the COVID-19 Employee Leave Directive.
I'll second that.
All right, moved and seconded. Any final discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Motion is carried. Okay. Thank you, Kristen. And we're going to go to resolution number 9 then.
Resolution number 9 that's under consideration this morning is a resolution that would allow for the adjustment of the payment schedule for real estate taxes here in Center County. And to outline what that looks like, have this on the screen here. It really relates to an extension of the face value period. So currently, early payment, if you pay before April 30th, a citizen would receive a 2% discount. The face value with no discount is through June 30th, and then anything that comes in after June 30th would be subject to a penalty payment. The proposal today would actually extend the face value period from May 1st through September 30th, thereby allowing property owners to have a longer window of time to make payments without penalty. So that really captures the essence of the proposal.
We've been asked, Margaret, if we as the County Board of Commissioners could do this for all the municipalities and school districts, and we've done some looking into that, and what answer do we find?
So each municipality is required or has the option to adjust this payment schedule individually, municipality by municipality. So the county may take this action, and then municipalities may consider to take similar action, but they are not required to do so.
So in terms of updating them on this option, you were able to send out a message to them to let them know as well?
Yes, prior to today's meeting, we sent a copy of the proposed draft resolution to all 35 municipalities in Center County, along with a draft resolution if they would so choose to consider a similar action in their borough or municipality. But yes, advance notice was provided to each of the municipalities.
Any comments, questions, response to this?
I think it's the responsible thing to do, given the circumstance. Gives everybody opportunity to at least enjoy a bit of reprieve if they're having a struggle economically, and it's just a smart thing, I think, and a fair thing to do.
Yeah, this is where the county is doing what it can to help the small businesses in Center County, our property owners, landlords, and did want to remind citizens that basically your property taxes from the county standpoint have gone up by only a very small amount since about 1998. But unfortunately, this proclamation only covers the county portion of your property taxes.
It just helps a little bit as we head into some uncertainty throughout the spring and summer. But again, this would not affect the early payment, but it would move that face value back, so people would not be hit with that 10% penalty in July, but rather we'd move that back to October. And we would really encourage all the municipalities to also do this as well, to take a look at their cash flow and please do this so that we can all be on the same page. And then as we get towards the fall, we'll have hopefully the school districts will follow suit. But again, this is the first action, and we'll see what the future holds. Any questions on this from our teleconference or in the room as well?
What percentage of the county budget comes into real estate taxes, ballpark?
Sure. So we get about $27-28 million out of our $80 million budget that comes in. So it's about a little low 30% in terms of the revenue that we receive on an annual basis.
But it is our largest single source of revenue.
All right, seeing no questions on the teleconference or in the room, we look for then a motion.
Motion to adopt resolution number 9 of 2020.
I'll second that.
Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion on that? Hearing none and seeing none on our screen, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion is carried. Okay, thank you, Margaret. For this item on the public meeting rules, we can table this. We were tracking in the state General Assembly. There is a potential that they're going to be amending our public meeting rules, and so there's a bill that's currently in the Senate Rules Committee that moved out of that we could see action on in the Senate and the full House and Senate in the next day or two. So we just wanted to have this on here in case that there was any action they took prior to our meeting, that we could then reflect that. We haven't seen any yet, so I think it would be appropriate to table this for 1 week in case we needed to amend our public meeting rules to let the public know how they can comment and how we would hold meetings. So we look for a motion to table this 1 week.
Motion to table item D due to a pending Senate bill.
I will second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none and seeing none on our screen. Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried. Okay. All right, and we're going to move into our RFPs.
Okay, thank you very much. This morning, we have proposals for an RFP related to the Mountaintop Activity Center located in Clarence. The project is to benefit the Mountaintop Center, and the purpose is to assist with the development of restroom and shower facilities in their future community center location. This is the final project of the 5 projects awarded funding under the $100,000 DCED Keystone Communities Grant that was received with the assistance from former State Representative Mike Hanna. Today, after we open these, the request is that we table the proposal for 2 weeks to allow a review by the subcommittee, and a recommendation will be presented hopefully at the April 21st meeting of the Board of Commissioners. So I'll go forward and open up the proposals. We have 2 proposals, one from J.C. Orr and Son, and one from Joseph Hazel. So I'll open first the proposal from J.C. Orr. It's a requirement that there be in this package an original document, 5 copies, an electronic copy, and a bid bond. So first, we have the original copy and the electronic copy. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 copies, and I would imagine the bid bond is somewhere and here is the bid bond. So it is a complete submission from J.C. Orr. And the second proposal is from Joseph Hazel and Company, located here in Bellefonte. And they package these things so well, we didn't want them to fall apart.
Hopefully our controller, Jason Mosier, is not too jealous that somebody else is opening up a big package today. Are you all right?
So we took a look at the county code for bid openings, and the way the language is written is it's in the presence of the controller, it's open by the administrator or our designee. We could open them, but we're designating Margaret for that effect, but it's in the presence of Jason. Yeah.
Okay, so we have an original copy and an electronic copy. A bid bond. And we have 1, 2, 5 copies. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I have to open this because this appears to be excellent.
Separate bids, one for the plumbing, one for the HVAC. We don't have it on the
Yeah,
record.
sorry about that. So Hazel submitted two separate bids, one for the plumbing component to the project and one for the HVAC component to the project, so that's what the second envelope is there.
Just
clarify.
Sorry. So the first one that I just opened was for,
That was the plumbing one. Yeah.
and this one has an original copy, an electronic copy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 copies, and a bid bond. So both of the Joseph Hazel proposals are complete.
And again, we wouldn't be announcing the amounts of these items today, but we let the committee go through this for 2 weeks, and then they would be making a recommendation back to us. Any questions on this before we look for a motion? Okay, seeing none, would there be a motion?
Motion to table the request for proposal for the Mountaintop Activity Center until, you said April 21st, for review.
Second.
Moved and seconded, it's tabled for 2 weeks. Any further discussion, questions? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Motion is carried. Okay, thank you, Margaret. All right, going into contracts, before we took action on our first one, we would need to add, as letter C, a letter opener to assist us with the absentee ballots and mail-in ballots we're going to be receiving for this upcoming election that our elections office has identified. So it is a Omation 306S, and it has a conveyor belt, and we're expecting a large quantity. So we would look for a motion to add the letter opener onto the agenda today.
Motion to add the contract for the Pitney Bowes letter opener for $17,265 to today's contracts as item C.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor of adding this, say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Okay. And so, again, this is for the amount of, we're going to get a lot of mail-ins this primary and also for the general as well. So we look for a motion to approve the purchase of the letter opener.
Motion to approve item C, the Pitney Bowes letter opener, Omation 306S for $17,265.
It's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion? Yeah,
We
please.
can submit this by one fashion or another to the state for reimbursement.
That's correct. Yep. It would be the 60% through the Department of State. Yep, absolutely. Yep. Okay. Any other questions? All right, hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Motion is carried. Okay. All right. Margaret, we'll go back to A.
The next item is from our planning office, and it's a proposal from Herbert Rowland and Grubrick to perform professional services as a coordinator for the Phase 3 Chesapeake Bay Watershed Implementation Plan. And as you'll recall, the Board of Commissioners agreed to submit a grant to the Department of Environmental Protection and applied for the Chesapeake Bay Implementation Grant. And this includes the hiring of either an employee or a consultant to help us with the provisions that are required underneath this. So the planning office, in conjunction with our Conservation District office, identified 3 different consulting firms, interviewed them, and feel that this particular firm has the most relevant experience, especially as it pertains to Center County, and is asking for approval to move forward with this consulting contract.
Thank you. Any questions, comments on this? Okay, seeing none, will there be a motion?
Motion to add the proposal from HRG to next week's consent agenda.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any final questions, comments on this? Okay. Hearing and seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Motion is carried. Okay. Moving then into Human Services.
Okay. The next item is from our Adult Services Office, and it is a grant agreement with the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, for the fiscal year 2019 competition to continue funding the Center County Rapid Rehousing Program. The project total is $213,208 for the period of October 1st, 2020 through September 30th, 2021. And the Adult Services Office has provided me with some background about this. just for context. So the Rapid Rehousing Program started in Center County in October 2017. So this would be actually our 4th year of participation. The funding that's involved here was actually applied for in August of 19, and approval was received in March. The agreement highlights the funding that will be received, and it will be spent on housing costs, case management, and administration. This is provided through Housing Transitions. Housing Transitions, as you know, is our service provider, and they have one case manager dedicated to this program and works with the individuals who receive assistance. Homeless individuals are referred to the program, and housing is secured with the funding that's provided through this particular grant. So it's a 4-year, this will be our 4th year of participation in the program.
Thank you, Margaret. Any questions, comments for Margaret? Okay, hearing none, would there be a motion?
Motion to add the grant agreement with HUD to next week's consent agenda.
I'll second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion, questions on this? All right, hearing and seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Motion is carried. Okay.
The next item is from our Drug and Alcohol Office. It's a request for approval for additional funding through the Pennsylvania Department of Drug and Alcohol Programs for training and services. Federal funding comes in the amount of $93,900 and will provide state-mandated training for county staff and providers with additional Vivitrol funding available for community and correctional facilities. The program total is $1,312,945, which is funded as follows. Federal, $863,598, state, $435,175, and county share is $14,172 for the period of July 1st, 2019 through June 30th of 2020.
Thank you, Margaret. Any comments, questions on this? Good news all around on that. Additional funding for our drug and alcohol programs. Would there be a motion to approve the funding?
Motion to approve additional funding from DDAP.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Motion is carried. Okay. All right, thank you, Margaret. We're going to be then moving into our grant section for capital projects.
Okay, the next item pertains to our solar array at the Center County Correctional Facility, and it is a request from SRE to allow them to receive a West Penn Power utility rebate that is in the amount of $47,000. You'll recall that I presented a few weeks ago another grant that they were receiving as a pass-through through Center County, and these grants are to defray the costs that they've incurred for the unexpected rock bed that they encountered when they were digging for the solar arrays. We have had the document that you would sign reviewed by our solicitor, Betsy, and the contract that we have with SRE does provide the language that says any environmental incentives would be the sole ownership of SRE as the owner of the project. So the request today would be for you to authorize this incentive payment from West Penn Power to be received by SRE.
This would be the second one of this type where they were able to secure another grant from another
This is
entity.
the second and last one.
Last one. Okay, great. Okay. Any comments, questions on this? Okay. Seeing none, would there be a motion?
Motion to approve the authorization for a split incentive payment to Solar Renewable Energy LLC.
Moved and seconded. Any final questions or comments on this? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Motion is carried. Okay. We have today's consent agenda in front of us. It's one item. Is there any questions on that? Okay. Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion to approve today's consent agenda.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion is carried. Okay. Then we have a letter of support.
Yes, the letter of support today is at the request of the Central Intermediate Unit 10's application for funding through the United States Department of Agriculture to implement the interactive STEM distance learning project for elementary and middle schools in Center County. So the intermediate unit is asking for a letter of support from the Board of Commissioners. We were also requested last year, and you provided a letter of support. They received the funding, so this would be a year or two of funding for them should they be fortunate enough to receive the grant.
Thank you, Margaret. Any questions on the letter of support?
I'd worked with Central Intermediate Unit 10 back when I was in the private sector, and they have a very strong IT department, so I have confidence that this will be handled very well.
And again, this is for Bald Eagle, Bellefonte, and Phillipsburg to participate in some distance learning. So we wish them the best success on this project. Would there be a motion?
Motion to approve the letter of support for Central Intermediate Unit 10.
Moved and seconded. Any final discussion? All right, hearing and seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Okay. All right, Margaret, anything to report from Administrator's report?
I know, I think I've covered it all.
Okay, thank you. All right, going into our check run, is there a motion to approve the check run? I'm sorry,
The
or
check of the
please,
week?
yeah, please.
So we have a much smaller than normal check run of $502,187.91. Keeping with the theme earlier in the meeting, I have a series of checks to Crossroads Counseling, Inc., totaling $19,949.65 for services provided to clients from our drug and alcohol department over a several-month period. Would like to make the motion to approve the check run dated April 3rd.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion on this? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Okay. We do want to note, and we apologize for the technical difficulties if people were on the phone and then tuned in, but we got a message error here that for some reason this timed out, so we apologize for that. People have switched over from that to the CNET meeting. We are almost at the conclusion of our meeting, so again, we apologize about that. If I can try to refresh this while we're continuing, I'll try to do my best there. But we do have a personnel item. Is there anything we wanted to discuss or just I'll talk on that? Kristen, Kristen, I'm sorry, if you would, yeah, no, it's okay. Thank you.
A request came in from the district attorney's office to help cover paralegal services during absence or vacancy if this person's able to get their paralegal certification. The request is for it to be approved based on confirmation of budgeted staff development funds. So we'll confirm with Tom Martin, Finance Director, to make sure that there is funding for this in the budget.
Thank you, Kristen. Any questions, comments on this? Okay. Is there a motion to approve this personnel item?
Motion to approve the personnel item for the district attorney's office.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion, final discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Motion is carried. Okay. All right, we do not have a voter registration report today. Anything we wanted to add?
Well, I think
Yeah.
in lieu of the report, because of the state legislature's change in the primary date, there are some new dates to be aware of. And the last day to register before the primary to vote is Monday, May 18th. The last day to apply for a mail-in or civilian absentee ballot would be May 26th, which is a Tuesday, and then the general primary is going to be Tuesday, June 2nd. I just wanted to make sure that everybody was aware of those dates and the changes. And, if you have any questions, you can, I'm sure you'll be hearing a lot more about it. We have a little bit of time between now and thankfully, between now and the primary.
Thank you, Commissioner. We do want to announce that our offices will be closed this Friday for spring break. So again, we're going to be closed for spring break this Friday. Any executive sessions to report, Margaret?
No executive sessions to report, but the Board of Commissioners will meet in executive session following the conclusion of the agenda.
Okay, thank you. All right, any questions from the press? Gary or Evan?
Census-wise, 2020 census obviously was supposed to go off on April 1st. Obviously, that's now since been delayed, but are there concerns from the commissioners related to college students, in particular Penn State students, being counted properly now that they're at home? Are they, is there proper infrastructure to make sure that their numbers, they don't get counted from their home numbers, they get counted up here? Because, obviously that could be a big deal if they're not in terms of numbers and funding that the county would then receive. So are there concerns on that level right now, and has there been any contact about that specific issue?
So thankfully, the U.S. Census 2020 put out guidance soon after the pandemic started, and they realized that college students were going to be returning to their home addresses. They put out guidance saying that you should still be counted at your university. So we were very appreciative of that. That was very helpful. In addition, we do know the university is sending a lot of guidance out through their family channels, letting folks know, the parents and also the students know that they should be counted here. And then Penn State has been doing a lot of good social media, emails on that as well. So we're really appreciative of that as well. The good thing is that if people haven't filled out the census, and our count per the U.S. Census website is about 46%, so people can still do this. And there's going to be several months where you can still respond to it. So it's not as if you missed it. There still is plenty of time. So we're going to really be encouraging everybody, not just college students, but everybody throughout the whole county to fill out that census. It's $21,000 over the next decade that you can invest right here in your community if you fill out that census. So the census and the university and our staff at our planning office who lead up our census coordinating count committee have been doing a great job to make sure everybody's counted.
About how many college students do you, rely on, give or take, that, you feel need to be counted? Ballpark number?
Oh, sure. Attendance at the university is typically around 40,000 individuals. Some of them are Center County residents, full-time, around the clock. But there are some that are from out of state, out of the county. So, yeah, there's tens of thousands of individuals that are not physically here, but per the U.S. Census, they can still be counted here.
And you, like you said, just following up, you have faith that those students will, will follow through with that. That's the next level. Some are concerned that, college students have other things on their mind right now that, they will follow through with properly with the census.
The great thing is that they still have months to fill this out. And so if I was a college student, I would say, there's probably another month of classes left. Do your classes, focus on that. But as soon as your classes are done, fill it out. Or if you have some downtime now, you can fill it out. But no, we have confidence that they're going to fill it out. And it's the first time ever you can do it online. So if it was still the old way, if you just had to do it with paper or the phone, there might be some concerns. But the fact it's online, it's going to mean a lot more folks are going to do it.
Have you heard from any Penn State student parents, any Center County landlords, or Penn State itself? Well over 1,000 parents are asking landlords for off-campus housing, breaking the rents, and students were told to stay home. Have you folks heard anything?
Not directly. I haven't. If my colleagues have, they can certainly offer that. But no, I don't think we have.
Has the county done any future revenue projections? State College School Board last night got an early estimate on the impact of COVID-19. Dauphin County yesterday furloughed well over 150. Have you folks been doing anything like that yet?
So we've been getting weekly analysis of the property tax revenue from the county that's coming in on a weekly basis. So we're tracking that. In the next few weeks, we're going to be able to see how a decision people may make with this action we're taking today to delay that penalty period. That will definitely mean that we'll have less revenue coming in, but we do have enough of a cash reserve that we can make sure that that's going to be stabilizing us in the months ahead. I think our big thing that we're looking at is what the state does. The state provides us in excess of $30 million of state revenue, and as we all know, they've pushed back their the taxes, the earned income tax that they're collecting and other taxes to July. So it's going to mean that they're going to have less cash to go around. So we're tracking that, watching it very closely, but we're certainly appreciating the financial challenge that everybody's in, individuals, governments, local and federal.
In connection to that, any concern in terms of major events that, the county and different municipalities maybe rely on, thinking come to mind like Arts Fest, for example, things of that nature? Is there any concern or talks of potential cancellations for those, or maybe even adjusting those at this time, any of those bigger events right now?
I think that we know that in the future, whether it's next year, in 2022, 2023, we will have an Arts Fest. But there are priorities right now that go above and beyond celebration of the arts. And it's such an important thing for our community and our country, but right now we need to be focused on the health and well-being of our citizens and the citizens of everybody around our area. And so if the decision is made to cancel that or postpone it to next week, I think everybody will understand, and we'll have even a greater celebration in the future. But right now I think that every organization across the county is struggling with that, but I think ultimately the health and well-being of people is going to come first and foremost.
Last week, the head of DOC for the state held a phone press conference where he addressed concerns of the spread of COVID inside the state prison system. I believe it was SCI Phoenix was the site listed as 2 inmates were tested positive at that point, but concerns were raised over prisoner and staff transfers. They said they were, quote, limited, but that transfers were still occurring. Any concern of that, specifically here in Center County Correctional Facility?
Oh, okay, so for...
County, but the state prisons.
Oh, sure. So we're not receiving anybody from the state at this point, so that wouldn't be an issue in terms of the state. The state has gone to a quarantine of every individual that's incarcerated is quarantined in their cells. I believe began last week. So they have not. There's been very little movement at the state facilities that would affect the county.
You've heard nothing on a proposal to the juvenile detention center statewide to release juveniles?
I have not heard. We just had our monthly meeting last week, and that wasn't a point of discussion. So at this point, I don't know anything more than the conjecture that that's a discussion.
Would that be up to the judges in the county?
Yes. Yes. It's all those children are placed in custody by judges, and it remains that way to the best of my knowledge.
Is there anything new in terms of I know, mental health services? Do you get a weekly or a request for service in terms of numbers? This is a stressful time. I'm wondering if you're seeing an increase for programs, services provided by the county. Do you get any kind of monthly, weekly numbers at all?
So we do, and we're right now in the middle of this transition where we're switching folks over from in-person to telehealth, and so our offices have been providing a lot of video interaction, and so the numbers are probably we're going to be able to see a tracking in the next few weeks what that looks like. But there's a little bit of a change that's occurred, but we haven't seen a dramatic increase as of yet. I think people are focused on making sure that their other needs are met in terms of their job, food, shelter, and their families. And then I think we are going to see once that there is a stabilization that there will be more folks reaching out to us. But very encouraged that the state launched a warm line statewide. We in Center County have the crisis services line that people can call 24/7, and also the Center Helps line that people can call for basic needs 24/7 as well. So we're very fortunate for those two hotlines here in Center County.
Any other changes since last week in county services as response to COVID-19, or whether it's emergency services? Any?
No, we continue to provide services, albeit remotely in most cases. Our staff are making sure that essential operations are intact, and we have no reported cases of COVID-19 within our employees, and we are okay right now. So.
We had some viewers reach out to us expressing some concerns with, they claim, no way to scientifically measure this, of course, but they claim was an influx of folks coming, specifically to State College, but Center County in general, from outside of the state. Concerns there that a lot of folks feel as though that those folks should stay at home, specifically from New York, New Jersey areas. Any comment on that? Some of them, it could have just been college students coming back to get their things and go back home, but then others are concerned that maybe those folks are, in more of the hotbed for the virus, coming here to Center County perhaps because they have a secondary housing unit here or something along those lines, or relatives, etc., coming back and living here. Any concerns or comment, on that potential?
Governor Cuomo, especially on the New York side of things, Governor Cuomo has been doing a fantastic job to urge his residents to please hunker down and stay home, to not go out. They're the hotbed in the country. That's where all of this is coming from. So it's understandable that if our residents see license plates with New York on the back of it, that they're going to have a reaction that's going to be, well, why are they here? We don't know the reason why they're here. It may be to get medicine. It may be for life-saving needs. We've all been saying that if it's a life-saving need, you can obviously leave your home for something that's very, very important. But we would reiterate that if individuals are coming in from out of the area, we would ask them to self-quarantine for that 14 days. We are sensitive that we are not, we don't have a county health facility and we're not medical experts, but we're reiterating the advice that's been given out by the Pennsylvania Department of Health, CDC, that people in those areas should be self-quarantining themselves. But again, we don't know the reason why they're here. It may be life-saving, and that's allowable under the current travel provisions. But we would exercise caution for all. And there's been good guidance given out that says you should act as if you have COVID-19 to help deter the spread by wearing a mask, by washing hands, the social distancing. So we're doing that as much as we can. But yeah, again, we hope people take that to heart and do that.
State has furloughed some state employees. Have they delayed, or has any state payments to counties, or specifically Center County, been impacted at all? Or are you still getting paid on?
No delays as of yet.
They haven't announced any, and we haven't seen any, but that doesn't mean that they're not coming. And so we understand that that may be something that we'd be looking at. Okay. All right. Again, apologies. If folks have tuned in, you can absolutely email us at boc@centercountypa.gov. If there are people that were on the call that are now watching us via CNET, we'd be happy to answer questions offline. You can email us and we'll get back to you today. Again, this was the first time we were doing this, and we had technical difficulties with this, but we will make sure that we iron those out for our meeting next week. So again, we wish you a safe week, and we would look for a motion to go into executive sessions at this time.
Motion to go into executive session at 10:52.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Okay, thank you all.